Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here talking about, gosh,
Give me a D. Give me an I. Give me an S. And today we're talking about the C.
C.
My arms are so long you can't see them on screen, but there were letters there that would make YMCA singers humiliated. I mean, judge me badly, actually.
So we're talking about the DISC series. This is about the different types of personalities. This is super simple. There are tests online. You can definitely find out if you are listening to these four and you're like, I'm not sure which one I am, but you probably already know which one you are because these are certain things that are archetypes that kind of stand out to you about your personality. But there's a lot of nuances and lots of other things you can go and learn. There's a lot of information on DISC. There's actually big tests you can take that are like $30, $40. They'll tell you even more. So if this is a topic that interests you, please don't just listen to this little vlogs. Go get your own information because there's a lot, which is a great segue to the C.
The C. Well, today we're going to talk about the C. And honestly, the C's are the most different from me as an I, but they might be my favorite personality type. And I'll tell you why. C stands for conscientious. Now, what we mean by conscientious doesn't mean they always know the right thing to say or do. What it does mean is they're going to spend more time than anybody else figuring out what the right thing to do is before they or their team that they're on does it. C's love research, they love study, they love the background work, they love being in the background. So they don't necessarily want to be on stage, but they want to make sure that whoever's on stage knows all the right answers to all the questions. C's they very well might be have the elephant style memory where they just remember stuff, but it's really because they super value being right. And I don't necessarily mean in a moral sense, like righteous. They just really value accuracy and being correct. I mean, the best thing, you want to say something to a C that'll make them feel really happy, tell them that they did it perfectly or they knew the right answer. Flipping around, you want to say the worst thing to a C, you want to make them hide under their desk and never come out, in public, point out their mistakes. Because you have then exposed their wrongness, which to them is the worst thing to possibly be.
So I've got some C's in my life that I'm pretty fond of. Two C's. First of all, my dad is a conscientious. My dad is a C. The other C that's in my life is my brother-in-law, Bill. So I'm going to give you a couple of stories about these individuals and how their conscientiousness shows up. So first I'm going to start with my dad. When we were growing up, my dad would do projects around the house. He'd do different things. And one of the things that we worked on one time was a wall. We were taping it and mudding it and doing everything you need to do the drywall. And my dad was so conscientious and so meticulous about making sure that wall looked just so. I think we did the wall about 3 times before he felt good about it. And I probably had over an hour worth of discussion with him as he would walk me through again how to make sure that the wall was just how it should be. So I grew up with a dad very conscientious in many ways. He also would think through. So he was, bless his heart, he was the grand jury leader for a year. And I thought that was going to kill my dad. It was the hardest job for him because what the grand jury leader does is they essentially listen to things and decide if it's a case if they should pursue it. And that meant that he was either right or he was wrong. So he would listen to all the facts. He would make a decision, most likely the right one, but he would go home and for a week think about whether or not he made the right decision. He would lament if he did it. He would go over the facts again. He would debate it in his mind. He'd debate it with my mother. He would spend sleepless nights going over the details because it was very important. It wasn't just right for him. He now was affecting someone else's life with whether or not he was right. And that was a very big deal to my dad. We all thought it would be a wonderful position for my dad, and it turned out to be a very hard position.
It was a burden for
him.
It was a big burden for him.
So that's the heart and the mind of a conscientious individual. Another one is my brother-in-law, and he is well known throughout our whole family as being one that can run a spreadsheet like a boss. He also is, if he's going to make a decision, he can walk you through in very good detail why he is making that decision. So if you sit down and you say, hey, why do you want to do something big, especially if you move, like you want to move to a different area, he can give you probably 12 to 15 reasons why he's made that decision. Not one, not two, and none of them start with I feel like. They all are facts, they're all reasons, they're all really logical and well thought out, and they're all quite brilliant.
C's have some similarities with S's. They're probably more similar to S's than either the D or the I. And one of the key similarities they have with S's is that they're also really slow to make decisions and make changes. They do it from a slightly different place, but it kind of can look the same until you start talking to them. For the S, they don't want to hurt anybody with the change or decision they're making, so they take a long time to really work it through. A C just doesn't want to make the darn wrong choice. They don't want the wrong thing to happen. They just don't want to be wrong. So if you're a CS or an SC, you really will take your time making any sort of analysis or any sort of decision because it just has to be right. If you're a C, because you just need to get the right answer. For an S, because you don't want to hurt anybody. But it can look kind of the same. One of the important people at Compass, who's a big C, is our person Valerie, who runs our HR department. Now, I love this fact because it is her job to ensure that our labor policies and how we deal with our staff is correct. Because if you screw one of those things up, you can not only hurt somebody, but you can get into a legal problem. So I need somebody championing those sorts of details with a real eye for accuracy and correctness. C's are great engineers. They're the people that you want to build the space shuttle. You don't want to have an I build the space shuttle because we'll be like, it'll look awesome up there, and then it blows up. But a C will say, well, no, I'm not sure we're ready to launch because this O-ring is might be 6 months past its prime age span, and blah, 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 and they will prevent the explosion. So you really do want to make sure that if you're a C, you feel free and powerful to pay attention to those details because you keep the rest of us from having a train wreck.
Mm-hmm. Which is the transformational thought, the one that is pivotal for C's to realize. First, like we've said about every other one, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no moral thing. It's not more elevated from a morality standpoint to be a C than to be an I. But it is important that we as individuals know what our heart motivations are, where we're coming from, and then also know where our power is. So for C, what we're discussing here is they do have an innate leadership and power in the realm of having a detail management, of understanding what is the correct, not the right, but the correct thing to do in a certain situation. And they really do, as Eric said, need to be able to speak up and be heard because they offer something, and that is a rational and logical and well thought out strategy to problems and to situations that other personality types may not have been able to do naturally in their own minds. What their power is that they bring a rigorousness to every problem, and they have thought things through, and they have chiseled away to make sure that we are coming up with the best answer to a problem. So being able to bring that to the table, present that to a group of people, that is their secret superpower. Absolutely. So we look forward to and we need the C's to exercise their personal power and their leadership and show up with answers to the questions that maybe the rest of us didn't think through quite as clearly as a C did.
Exactly. Now, so if you're a C, and C's represent about 19 to 20% of the population, so you're 1 in 5, you're kind of special. If you're a C, know that you naturally are built for analysis and quality control, or for just making sure that the stuff's happened the right way. Use that force for good and help people. But sometimes you might come off a little negative and critical. That may be because you spoke unkindly, or it may just be because the people you talked to weren't in a frame of mind to hear it. So you're probably smarter to figure out the best way and the right way to say those sorts of things. But don't stop bringing that strength, because without that strength, the rest of us can have more problems than the team wants.
If you're a Compass and you're a C, please show up. We definitely need you. This D and this I must have S's and C's around us at all times.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's kind of a shallow end dip in the personality trait of C, and this is the end of our little disc series. Some great books out there, and we would encourage you to go ahead and take a test and learn more about it, because we find that the disc personality theory, while it's simple, only 4 moving parts basically, is really accessible. And the more we know about ourselves, the better we're able to express ourselves and create connection with folks. And the more we know about them, the better we're able to connect with them in a way that works.
Yep. All right. Until next time.
See you guys.